I recently came over this shocking news. Google intends to remove cryptocurrency wallets from its App Store unless they hold US federal licenses. They're bringing up the KYC and AL regulations I keep bringing up. The thing is this, there's a good risk that a wallet you use that avoids KYC or AML compliance may disappear if it lacks the necessary licensing. The same is true for exchanges. Do you know how some exchanges actually boast that they don't use AML or KYC? Don't be shocked if your assets that are stored on those platforms vanish along with the exchange. We anticipate a significant bottleneck in the cryptocurrency space. I'm talking about the possibility that 99% of it will vanish once restrictions take effect. Even if it's early, this is already beginning to occur. This gives you a sneak peek at what we might expect over the next months. You must secure your cryptocurrency, get a cold wallet, and keep all of your money in it. I always advise choosing Ledger if you're not into decent. This is the exact reason I use both wallets. The worst part is that Ripple is no longer merely knocking on doors. They are seated directly within the global finance control room. Alright, so when I came onto this thread, I was genuinely astounded. We're discussing the collaboration that completely changed the course of events. EastNets and Ripple simply shook hands, and to be honest, this is the kind of move that makes you go, holy crap, this is real. The EastNets contract is as follows. In a sense, they are your golden ticket to Swiftland. You're familiar with Swift, an antiquated, unwieldy system that has long handled international payments. Ripple just received the kingdom's keys from EastNet. We are discussing direct access to ISO 2022 Swift and, wait for it, more than 800 institutions and central banks. This is not an entry through a side door. This is entering via the front door as if you are the property's owner. But hold on, it gets more juicy. In fact, they have integrated DL2 inside the payment safe itself. Now that Ripple technology powers EastNet's payment security, the agonizing 3 to 5 day rapid transfers are no longer an issue. Indeed, they were just nuked. We're talking about instant settlement, which makes the previous approach appear to be as inefficient as a carrier pigeon. This is where my mind blows up. Ripple is no longer merely experimenting with payments. They are now in the big leagues, mingling with architects of CBDCs, whispering in lawmakers' ears, and attending VIP lunches at the World Economic Forum. They're doing more than just adjusting to the financial future. The damn blueprint is being written by them. This is no longer a maybe someday tale. Do you recall when everyone predicted that Swift may eventually be replaced by Ripple? Surprise! It won't happen. It's here. The train didn't simply leave the station, as Rosie Rios so eloquently stated. It has now reached half of its final objective. OpenEden just joined BNY Mellon as their custodian and investment manager for tokenized U.S. Treasury T-bill funds. We are witnessing a live handshake between Trafi and DeFi. Hold on, though. Who else is OpenEden teasing? Yes, Ripple. That's correct. This is what's cooking now. U.S. Treasury bills are being tokenized by OpenEden and placed directly on the XRP ledger. Your brain should begin to tingle at this point. You'll need to move these tokenized T-bills around once you have them sitting there, won't you? So, how do you suppose that occurs? Through the XRP ledger, boom. And you know what enables that entire dance? XRP. Pumpius's observation truly made me wonder, what if Ripple had never been the underdog opposing the powerful U.S. government? What if they had been collaborating with them all along? Perhaps all of that court drama and the David Viss Goliath storyline was just great theater, allowing Ripple to covertly construct the new financial infrastructure while remaining undetected at home. And when you think about it, it makes perfect sense. What was Ripple doing behind the scenes while everyone was glued to this alleged legal battle with the SEC? With the exception of the US, they built payment rails all across the world. Their system was obviously designed for large organizations, not cryptocurrency enthusiasts from the beginning. We're talking about almost no costs, immediate payouts, and ISO compliance before anyone even needed it. This was no tenacious garage upstart looking to cause trouble. This was significant infrastructure that was intended to not just rival Swift, but to completely replace it. Take a look at their partners. Federal Reserve pilot initiatives, key payment corridors across the Middle East and Asia, central banks in Bhutan, Palau, and Montenegro, and ties to defense-related banks like BN Mellon. That isn't a renegade fintech company's profile. That's expansion approved by the government. And all of this undoubtedly needed approval from someone. Ripple discreetly inked more than 700 contracts and non-disclosure agreements with major international financial organizations, while the headlines were screaming that the company was in jeopardy. Whenever they say, "a flew to another country," they are not actually running away. It was systematically establishing the foundation for eventually bringing those rails home. This is the quintessential controlled opposition. While your guy is carrying out the strategy, make him appear to be the victim. This is where things start to get pretty crazy. They allowed Ripple to expand freely abroad. At the appropriate moment, they reversed the course and disclosed that the technology was actually part of the government's original plan. Everywhere by then, the tracks have already been constructed. What will you do then? Take a look at the Ripple stablecoin Pila RUSD. Specifically intended for institutional custody, it plugs directly into the XRP ledger and is fully compliant with US regulations. After they flip the switch, XRP manages all international settlements while RLUSD becomes the domestic bridge asset. However, the secrecy makes perfect sense. There would have been a great deal of opposition if people had known right away that the US was covertly laying the groundwork for a reserve system based on blockchain technology. Admitting the state was upgrading the dollar rails in real time was much more difficult than portraying it as a private firm battling for freedom. This is where things start to get interesting, though. Thank you for viewing. Thank you to everyone, and I hope to see you at the next one. Enjoy your evening.